What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Super Gamer Boys. I'm your host, Colonel and Dad, Garrett Morlang, and here in the virtual studio with me is the king of video games and still resident superstar, Adrian Holmes. What's up, Adrian?
Boy, I love how it says still.
Yeah.
Just, has a nice ring to it. But I'm doing well. How are you, my good man?
I'm doing pretty good. We'll see how much longer you're still a resident superstar. You never know. Things might change.
Okay.
I in very much, not really I was going to say very much in the way I normally do things, but I'm usually not in a procrastinator that much. But for whatever reason, this one thing I've been procrastinating now for months is that today, this very episode is our 200th episode, which is
we don't have nothing
wild. Yeah. And so the catch is the plan was like, I had originally said, I'm like, we don't necessarily need to do anything special for the 200th episode because whatever, it's, we put on a show and you guys expect something from the show. So that's what we're going to give you. But the plan was this weekend, the Saturday, to have some fun stuff planned upcoming. So today is the 22nd as a recording, the 27th. I've not reached out to anyone to do anything. I have nothing planned. The only thing I planned is like, all right, be cool to record like a special episode and then like a one-off thing and then have maybe some Mario Party, but that's about it. So we'll see. Maybe by this Saturday, if you're listening to this Wednesday, maybe by Saturday, I'll have something planned and you'll hear about it on social media. But 200 episodes, wild, right?
An accomplishment,
like,
my good man.
Did
you ever think you would be here?
No, not at all. That's what I was going to say. I was like, I never thought we would make it this far. Like 200. I feel like there's so many podcasts that I listen to when they hit 200, like it's such a huge achievement to them. And I was always like so proud of these like being such a big fan of different shows. Like, oh yeah, The Killer, you made 200. That's crazy. Like, wow, that's so long. And I don't know. It just never hit me that one day our stupid little show that I started with me and JJ and
here we are
the very first episode was recorded in our office, our work office. I did not work at the office at the time. I was out in the field spraying for bugs, and so was JJ. And I asked my boss, I'm like, hey, can I use the office after work, after everyone goes home, and record a podcast in there? And it's echoey as heck and
He's
terrible
like, what the heck
quality.
Is a podcast?
I was terrible on the microphone. Please don't go listen to the first episode. It is very bad. And
now people are going to do it because you told them not to do it, right?
Probably, unfortunately. But
it's a good marker though. It shows how far you've come.
Yeah, thinking about
from
that
then to now.
Back in what year was it? It was 2018 is when we started. November of 2018. And here we are almost 5 years later, 4.5 years later.
And 199 episodes later.
Crazy, dude. Absolutely wild. So thank you all you who listen, who watch, support us each and every week. All you are the ones who got us to this point. We and Adrian,
the real MVPs.
Me and Adrian say all the time, like, whether you guys are listening or not, we'd be meeting and talking. But to be honest, there's been more times than I could even count on my hands probably where I've been this close to giving up just because it's like, it's exhausting. It's a lot of work and it's tiring and whatnot. And so knowing that, even though it's fun for us to chat, it's still a lot of work to produce the thing. And so, but having that, just knowing that there was you guys, like all of you out there listening and watching and enjoying and supporting us, is what really gave me the, that kick in the pants that I needed to be like, no, like we need to keep making this cool thing because people like it, people enjoy it. And I do enjoy talking video games with Adrian every week. I mean, we could still schedule a Discord call every week and just chat for an hour and a half if we want to every week. But so a huge thank you to all of you who supported us, especially those who supported from the beginning. You guys are amazing. Like, honestly, like I'm trying to think like, I don't want to leave anyone out, but just off the top of my head, I'm thinking like Kajoma, who's still around. He's a Patreon producer. Eddie, Hophead Ed, like he's been around since the beginning. there's just a crew. I mean, even our Super Gamer sponsor, Julie Bates, it's my freaking grandma. I haven't talked about that in a while. That used to be the joke back in the early days. My grandma has been supporting us on Patreon since day one. I mean, which is wild as a Super Gamer
She's down
sponsor.
for the cause, man. She's here to hear about some games from her grandson. That's what it is.
She used to listen to the show every week. I don't know if she still listens anymore. But shout out to Grammy. If you're still listening, you're the real MVP, honestly.
But not even just them though. You know, we also appreciate everybody who's come in along the way.
Oh, heck
anybody
yeah.
who's come in and listened or joined into the Patreon, even if you're at the dollar level, or even if you can't afford to do it. Just the fact that you listen alone is enough, and it's incredible. I never thought that me talking to somebody about video games, you know, for an hour or for about the weirdest niche stuff sometimes. Now we get like hundreds of people listening to it a week at this point. You know, whether it's through clips or through the audio or something like that. We constantly getting people coming in and out watching the stuff, and it's a trip. I mean, and it's gotten us, you know, to levels that I never even thought of, you know, over the course of this. I people at software companies, people that are behind the Playdate, they follow me now.
Yeah.
Just because I made a video about how awesome it is and how awesome indie games are, and look how, you know, their whole office watched it.
Yeah.
And not to mention, Gary, that one time when we did E3, our E3 stuff always blows up.
Yeah. I mean, people I mean, one of our the second most viewed video, because the first one is your Playdate video with like 6,000 views. The second one is like our Xbox reactions from couple years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago or something like that. But E3 and games, the Summer Games Fest every year is like a big event, which is coming up soon. You know, actually starting this Wednesday, when this episode comes out, is PlayStation Showcase, and we're going to be live reacting to that. And I think, just next week, not next week, but 2 weeks, Summer Game Fest is happening.
It's
and we're going to be digging into that. So yeah, shout out to everyone who's ever listened to our stuff or watched your stuff, like whether you just watched it or listened to it once, or you've been here the whole ride. You guys are
You're
awesome.
appreciated.
And we're very thankful for it. And
here's to 200 more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Heck yes. Let's do it. Cool. You know what? I forgot to introduce the heavyweight botcasting champion of the world, Super Gamer Bot. I forgot. Man, I'm glad the AI isn't completely sentient yet, because we gotta have a real.
That would have been a big upgrade if we were able to get Super Gamer Bot like up and sentient
on episode 200. Like, Super Gamer Bot introduces the show. Oh man, that would be pretty sick. But I'm not that smart yet. But today, we're going to be talking about some PlayStation Showcase predictions, Overwatch 2 not having PvE, and GTA 6 possibly coming out in 2024. But first, let's give a quick shout out to our Patreon producers, Bumple Smash, Eddie Martin, Inkajomo01, and our Super Gamer sponsors, Julie Bates and Mama Mare. If you want to be awesome just like those folks, stay tuned for this Patreon ad. All right, this is the part of the show now where I'm going to tell you to go to patreon.com/supergamerboys and support us over there. And starting at just $1 a month, you can get episodes early and ad-free, such as this show and Super Gamer Book Club. That's right, you can get our show as early as tonight as a recording, and Super Gamer Book Club you get 2 months early. Speaking of Super Gamer Book Club, right now the new episode is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. It's a fantastic episode with me and Adrian. Fantastic game. I'm so happy that Adrian got me in on that, which in turn got me into Danganronpa. That's the other thing. I have that on the back burner right now. I started that, and then Tears of the Kingdom came out.
I told you, dude. It's just it raised Earth. Everything else, nothing else matters but Tears of the Kingdom right now.
Oh, I both love it and hate it. But if you're on the fence about supporting us and you're curious about what in the world's Super Gamer Book Club is about, you can find it for free on all podcast feeds and over at youtube.com/supergamerboys, where you can listen to right now. The new episode up on the free feed is Hi-Fi Rush with DJ Trues. That episode was a blast to record. DJ Trues, Chaucer Schnauzer is always fantastic to have on the episode. Such a fun guest, and with his musical knowledge, being a music creator, artist, producer, all that, is a fun one to dive into the game, especially like Hi-Fi Rush that has all the musical themes in it, being a rhythm game.
Such a great game.
So good. Also coming soon, we're recording it next week, so you'll be getting it next week, hopefully. Super Metroid with Nintendo Cartridge Society. So it'll be coming to you Patreon folks. That's right. If you want to get that new episode, listen to the final episode in the Super Nintendo Holy Trinity series. Go.
And the final episode of season 2.
Correct. Yeah, the final episode of season 2. Support us on Patreon. You can get that just next Friday. We're going to talk more about that later. Let's get back to the show. All right, and let's, before we move on here with the show, I do want to give a shout out to Jack, Sriracha, and Yate for allowing us to use their music on our show. We very much appreciate them for letting us use their fantastic music, their fantastic tunes here in the background of the show. If you like anything you hear, go check them out. Links are in the show description for Spotify and Apple Music. They have so much more music than what we play in the background. I just have like instrumental stuff, but they have other stuff. They have newer stuff. They have a fantastic sound that I love and appreciate. And if you do too, please go show them some love and support. All right. It's now time to check the mailbag.
Fire up, old bot.
All right, Super Gamer Bot. What do you got for us? Beep, beep, boop, beep, beep. Beep, boop, boop, beep.
Now that we can find a sound effect for, all right?
Yeah, that's too much work.
We may not be able to get it to talk.
That's too much work. It's easier just to do the Foley work just live right here. This first question comes to us from Sir Prince-A-Lot, and he asked, what's the most underrated candy? So before you give any answer, we need to address the elephant in the room. There was some discourse over on Discord about this question. And Kajoma01 answers, coming in hot with a question or with an answer I very much agreed with initially, until I thought about it more. I don't think he's wrong, but there are more underrated candies. But he comes up with Peeps, and I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm good with that. And then like 10 seconds later, he came in with but actually 100 grands. And I was like, ooh, lost me there. With which I replied, what are you, 80 years?
Fossil.
Yeah, what are you, 80 years old? And he comes back again with, why do you all keep having this opinion that 100 grands are old people candy? You're going to tell me, hang on, hold on to your britches. This might blow them clean off. You're going to tell me, that was a very old man thing to say. My grandpa used to say that phrase, hold on to your britches. So that's kind of that's kind of ironic that I just threw an old man
now
phrase.
Who's the old man?
Talking about old candy. You're going to tell me 100 grand is not the best chocolate bar you've ever had. Blows everything out of the water. And I'm a big Twix fan too, but it doesn't stand up to 100 grands.
That is crazy to me. He said that. Twix? It's not better than Twix?
Yeah.
Twix is an all-time, it's a Hall of Famer. You know what 100 grand? 100 grand is like when you get 100 grand, what's that chocolate, the one that sounds like a car? Ferrero Rocher.
Ferrero Rochers aren't bad. They're just too fancy for me.
No, but I'm saying like old people candy, the butterscotch candies, the little strawberry candies, the one that they have the little red and like the little green twisties. That's the category I put 100 grand in, Kajoma. And you're gonna tell me those are better than Twix? Get out.
Wild.
Get out.
So Sir Prince-A-Lot even answers his own question as well. He throws out blue sharks, in which I replied to him, I don't even know if I've ever had a blue shark in my life. Where do you even buy them? I had to Google them. I was like, I don't even know what these things look like. What the heck is a blue shark? All it is just a gummy shark, which I have heard of. I just didn't know they're called blue sharks. Like
blue sharks.
Yeah. But he just replied, gas stations. I'm like, all right, cool. You get them from gas stations. I think thinking about it, the more I thought about it, my brother really liked the gummy sharks. And then we had a grocery store called Wegmans, which I think is just like an East Coast, Northeast thing, specifically like Pennsylvania, New York, like Northeast.
You guys come up with these fake grocery store names all the time. I was over there at Fieldman's, or I was over there at, the Upsy Downsy or whatever else kind of magical fake grocery store you keep talking about.
Wegmans is fantastic.
Your family never goes to the same grocery store when you tell a story. It's never the same one. It's always this new place.
It's either Wegmans or Big M. That's probably one of those two. That's it.
No way. If we go back through the archive, I guarantee you every time you tell a story, me and my family, we went down to old Bergman's or something like that. It's like, no, do stores open and close that quickly on the East Coast?
No. Wegmans is huge. Like, they're a big company. Like I said, they're like multiple states. It's kind of like what HIB is down in like Texas. But yeah, Wegmans is fantastic, especially if you go to like a big one. So there's like one that's like an hour away from where we live. That's like has like basically like a whole food court section, like foods around the world. There's like literally just like, oh, you can get sushi here, pizza here, whatever here, like steakhouse here. It's pretty incredible, as well as being a grocery store. Like,
right,
nuts. Anyways, very off topic.
Get a sandwich at Wawa. Yeah, okay, Wawa. Yeah, There's a place called Wawa.
I've never heard of a Wawa. I don't know what that is. All right. But what's a most underrated candy, Adrian?
I said before, and I think we finally have some solidarity on this, is that Mounds, I think, are underrated. I think Mounds are the good Almond Joy. And it's not because I don't like almonds. I don't like almonds with coconut. I don't think that's a good combination. I like almonds. I like coconut. Don't like them together. So when you take those out and you just get chocolate and coconut.
Mounds. That's solid. Yeah. Mounds is very, very good. We have Marco 8009 in the chat with Kit Kat all the way. Kit Kat's pretty solid.
Not a bad pick.
But I don't know if it's necessarily underrated, because that's the question. Is like what? Because like I feel like Kit Kats are very like accurately rated. Like people very much love them for the most part. I have a couple friends who are not about them, and I'm not friends. I'm not friends with them anymore. So.
Dude, when I went to Japan, they have like exclusive flavors over there.
I want to buy some so bad and have them shipped over.
They were so good. They have like a green tea one.
There's a wasabi. There's a wasabi one I want to try, and there's a sake. There's a sake flavor that I want to try.
There's a Sakura one too. The Sakura cherry blossom flavored. My God. So Kit Kat is not underrated. It's fairly rated.
For me, underrated candy is definitely. So previously, you could pretty much only buy this at movie theaters. Nowadays, you can no longer get it at movie theaters, at least the theaters around here in San Diego. Goobers. All it was is this milk chocolate covered peanuts. But they were my dad's favorites growing up. I was always into like the sweeter, crazier thing. But as I got older, I'm like, no, these things are solid. Like these are really good. And they've come to be one of my favorites, to the point where there's a grocery store near us that sells, they don't sell Goobers, but they have like a bulk food section, and they actually have like in their sweet candy section, like these. They have milk chocolate covered peanuts and then dark chocolate covered peanuts, which is like Goobers, but better. Like dark chocolate. Oh, I love dark chocolate so much. So
see, I could get down with a Goober.
Yeah.
I'm not searching them out, but if somebody was sitting next to me, like at a ball game or at a movie, like you were saying, and they're like, hey, you want a Goober? I'll take one.
Yeah. Oh, they're so good. So good. And I think very much underrated, because I think most people, if they were offered, they would eat it, but it wouldn't be a lot of people's first choice. But I think if a lot of people, if most people tried it, they would find that they actually like it. Like, oh, this isn't bad. Yeah, okay. It's not going to be.
Peanuts and chocolate have always gone together.
Yeah,
look at Snickers.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like what every candy bar is based off of, essentially, but just in its simplest form. All right. Let's get to this next question here from Super Gamerbot, because the listeners don't write questions in anymore over at supergamerboys.com/discord. Join our Discord. Leave some questions on the Discord there so we can answer them on the show. But until
I guess
then,
the AI really is taking over.
AI is taking over because people are getting lazy, you know? So this first question, or the second question here is coming from Super Gamer Bot. They ask, have you ever had a negative or disappointing experience with a highly anticipated video game release? And if so, what happened? Well, Super Gamer Bot, you haven't been around that long, but there's been quite a few. There's been a few doozies.
Go ahead.
For me, my answer is probably Halo Infinite. And
agreed.
There are some people I know, some friends who very much enjoyed both the multiplayer and the single player campaign. For me, I enjoyed the multiplayer to an extent, like because we played it when it came out. We literally, that wasn't our episode. I remember it's a numbered episode that you can only find on YouTube. It's not even in podcast feed. So if you go through podcast feed, I forget, it's like it was in the early 100s where it literally like skips a number. It's because that was like we played it. We played it while we were recording an episode, and it was not really conducive to podcast listening. And multiplayer was very fun, at least for a time. But the single player campaign was very disappointing. I'd been off the Halo bandwagon for a few years because I did not have like an Xbox One or anything like that. So the only games I played were on 360. Like I played a little bit of 1 and 2. 3, I was super into. ODST is like one of my favorites. Reach was fantastic. Like the 360 era was incredible.
Peak.
And then I fell off because I didn't have an Xbox One. And I was like, this is it. Halo Infinite, I'm coming back. And then I played a few hours of campaign, and I was like, oh no, this does not feel like Halo. Like it's cool. It was cool, but for me, it was not like a return to form like what I was hoping for. With like I wanted to feel like Halo 3 or Reach or something.
You know
like
what I did? You know what just hit me about Halo Infinite? You know what it is? I figured it out. Halo Infinite is Halo 5 cosplaying as Halo 1.
Okay. Interesting. I haven't played Halo 5, but so I don't.
Well, Halo 5 is like 343 when they were trying to make it more Call of Duty-ish.
Okay.
And Halo Infinite has the aesthetics of Halo 1 or the original Halos.
Right.
But it has the mechanics and none of the heart and soul like the original ones do. So it's Halo 5, it's 343, and they're cosplaying as the original Halo trilogy. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it was not enjoyable, that's for sure. Like for a little bit, I'm like, oh, this is neat. And then I was like, nah, I'm perfectly content not ever finishing this game. Like I'm fine. And the fact that since then too, there's been basically 343
nothing
kind of like putting these timelines like, oh, we're gonna give you all this content, and then like pulling like, oh, actually we're not gonna do that, oh, this is gonna be different, oh, this is getting delayed, oh, actually, like basically a whole bunch of cancellations and delays, and it's like, okay, like you guys, even though the game was delayed a whole year, it's still not ready. It still was not ready and will never be ready, because from what it sounds like, they've kind of just given up, other than, some multiplayer stuff here and there maybe. So
not to mention that, but all the higher ups started leaving, and people were going in and out, leaving 343 like a revolving door. So there's no way that there's a team vision going on. It's all bad over there.
Remember when Halo Infinite, before it came out, they said, this is the Halo platform for the next 10 years or whatever. Like the idea was like they were going to add campaign stories to it and missions, so you could this will be your single player and multiplayer Halo for the next 10 years. It's basically going to be like Halo as service kind of thing, as we drip feed you story DLC and multiplayer DLC. And I love how quickly it's turned into like,
absolutely not.
We might need to go back to the drawing board and start. And I feel like there's even been an interview that we talked about on the show like in the last year or something like that, where someone came out from 343 and said like, oh, we're kind of going back to the drawing board and figuring things out, like as if they're making a new game or something. I'm like, oh boy.
Don't let them go back to the drawing board. Take the drawing board away and give it to somebody else, please.
Crazy.
Change their name. Change that studio's name to something else. They're not doing 343. They're not doing Halo stuff anymore, unless it's maybe a support studio.
Right. What about you? What's your disappointment?
We were just talking about it, and it's timely because we'll be talking about it a little more later on. Overwatch 2.
Whew. Yeah.
Overwatch may be one of the biggest wasted potential IP I think I've ever seen in games.
Wow.
It is such a, I don't know how to put it. It's so full of different things you can do with it as far as lore or game modes or all these different kind of things you can do. Whenever they introduce a character, they do a short that rivals animated films. You know, they could have reached into that territory or whatever, but for some reason, they just don't want to do it. They don't want to expand, and they honestly, they pulled a fast one with Overwatch 2. If we're just sticking to games, because the whole, and we'll talk about it later on, but the whole reason that the big push for Overwatch 2 was that PvE. Right. Oh, you're going to be able to do stuff with your friends,
and or single player / multiplayer,
skill trees and all that. Meanwhile, we didn't get and recently they just finally came out, which apparently they had known they were going to do this for 6 months. Apparently, they came out and said, "No, we're not doing PvE anymore," and just expected everybody to be like, "Okay, no problem."
Wild, absolutely wild.
Not to mention, they shut down the original Overwatch for this, so you can't even go back and play the old one and be like, "Yeah, 2's not for me. I'm gonna go back to the original." You can't do that.
That's
you can't do it.
Like we talk about. I mean, we probably shouldn't get into it now. We'll talk about it later in the news story. But yeah, absolutely wild situation there. That's I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the first game. I had played a little bit and was like, all right, cool. Like, I mean, as you guys, the listeners know, like I'm not necessarily a multiplayer guy, but for me, like I could see the appeal to it, and I had lots of friends who were into it. So it's such a sad situation. Like I'm so bummed out for all of my friends.
Dude, I've been playing that game since the beta for the original Overwatch. I am a massive Overwatch fan, and it is it's so sad to see, this IP be treated this way and be, I don't know. Yeah. It sucks. Yeah. That, like you said, I'm not a multiplayer guy most of the time either, but this was one of the ones that I made an exception for because it was so different and it didn't feel like any other shooter. That's the thing. It didn't feel like a shooter. It just felt like you were playing as characters that just happened to shoot, or throw stuff, or, shoot a beam, or, whatever. But it never felt like a shooter to me. It felt like just like a team objective game.
Yeah. With some sick characters.
Yes. Some of the best diversity in characters, not just in nationality, but just in design. Yeah. Nobody looked like anybody else. And that was so cool.
Yeah, they had some awesome characters. I always appreciated that whenever they announced a new character, and watching little shorts and it's like, this world looks so sick.
And we were finally going to be able to dive into it, and they took it away.
Yep. Sad. But we're going to talk more about that later in the news section, as hinted at. So let's move on here to the last mailbag question from Super Gamer Bot once again, because you folks need to go over to our Discord, join our Discord at supergamerboys.com/discord and leave your questions over there for the next episode. That'd be fantastic if you would so kindly do that. But this last question, what are your thoughts on the impact of video games on mental health? Can they have a positive or negative effects? Well, it's Super Gamer Bot getting real heavy,
real deep,
yeah.
Real philosophical out here. I appreciate it. We don't usually get the deep questions, but
no.
I think. Oh, you want to
go? No, you go ahead. You got this.
Oh, I think that there's potential for both, right? And when I say potential for both, as far as negative is concerned, I think with anything, there can be too much to where it's like an addiction, right? Like we've seen stories about people who forego their responsibilities or neglect their health, like they're not eating, they're not sleeping. Yeah. And in some cases, it's caused people to lose their life because they've succumbed to exhaustion, they've succumbed to hunger or whatever because they just did not stop playing. So that's definitely something, but that has more to do with having an addictive personality than the fault of the game itself. But I would think as far as games are concerned, there are way more positives than negatives when it's analyzed in that manner. Like we were talking before the show, and I said, man, dude, like over the years, games have been just a boon for not only my mental health, but I'm sure for like a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Over the years, specifically for me, and it's why I'm a huge fan of it to this day. But Animal Crossing was a really big, like, it was a nice way to just escape into a whole nother world and, just become a part of a village of other animal people who I considered friends, and I was happy to see them every day, you know? So.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, there's definitely negatives. And even if and a lot of that comes more from like probably people with more addictive personalities, in which case they can not only neglect their physical well-being, but their mental and social well-being. Like, like, all right, now you don't have any friends, and now maybe you are dealing with depression, and stuff like, because it's like, oh, no one wants to be my friend. It's like, well, you've also just been playing video games for 24 hours the last month or whatever, 24 hours a day. So, there can definitely be negatives. I mean, there's negatives with anything. As with anything, moderation is key. Like water can kill you. We also need water to survive. So
this is true.
But I think you are correct in that the positives can far outweigh the negatives. Like with moderation and proper, like, just general care for yourself. Like, yeah, these games can be such a fantastic outlet. Whether it's Animal Crossing or right now Tears of the Kingdom, or I don't know, like you don't even if you're not in a bad headspace, like it's just a nice way to like disconnect at the end and decompress at the end of a work day or something like that. Right. Or a great way to make friends and connect with people, whether you're playing online or sitting on the couch playing some Mario Party. So, maybe not Mario Party, lose friends playing Mario Party. That's a negative. But yeah, so I think the impact of video games on mental health, I think it's very much more of a positive one in most cases. Unless that, just priorities get out of whack, and that's when things go bad. And I don't think that's the fault of the video game. It comes down to the personalities and being aware enough of yourself and your own shortcomings to know and limit yourself and be like, all right, no, I need to take a step back and stuff like that. Like, I mean, there's things in my life that I need to do that with. I can very much get head down into something, and the next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I've been whatever. I have this like, Trudy hates it. If I get interested in something, I can get like super hyper focused on like researching it or doing the thing. Like if it's like a hobby, like doing it, or if it's just like something I'm interested in, like I'll just go on this crazy stint where it's like all of a sudden, to me, it feels like a few minutes, and Trudy's like, it's been 4 hours you've been like on your phone or on like in the office working on something. Like, when are you coming back up? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I was just gonna like look things up.
I thought it was only 30 minutes.
Yeah, I have this weird thing. Like, I don't know if I have like what do they call it? Like there is a clinical term for ADHD. It or something like that. But yeah, like for me, it's like feels like it's just been like a minute, and for her, she's like, no, it's been hours, and you need to like come back to reality. I'm like, oh, sorry.
You have a family.
I just want to, like, when there's something I want to know about, like I research the crap out of it, and to my own fault sometimes, to my own detriment, I guess. But yeah, so video games are good. Play video games, just in moderation, play them wisely, and yeah, I think you'll have a very good time.
Mhm.
End of story. All right. Well, thank you all so much who did write in. Sir Bernslot, since he's the, but everyone else, you're not off the hook.
Maybe they just don't know how to use it. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe they don't know how to use...
Go to your web browser. If you're not already part of our Discord, go to our any web browser. I don't care which one it is. Supergamerboys.com. Very easy. If you need to know how to spell it, look at the name of this podcast. /Discord, DISCORD. You can click join. You can either log in with your Discord account or make a new one. Very easy. You join our Discord over there. You can chat with us. There is a channel called Submit Mailbag. And it's very straightforward what that is, because it's so you can submit things to our mailbag. So click on that, leave a question, and we appreciate it. And we know people get busy, because there were some regulars who leave questions. And it's like, you know what? I totally understand. I don't expect those people to basically work part-time jobs writing questions for us. That's not what I mean. I just mean the other, like, I don't know, like 200 to 300 people who listen to this podcast. What are you guys doing? What's up? What's going on?
Maybe like once a month, just come in and drop a quick question. We're not asking you to do it every day, but it would be nice to hear from you. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be like a straight up gaming related question. It could be, how does this video game, how do you think it affects whatever, like the one about
it doesn't have to be a question. It could just be like, hey, Adrian has a cool like One Piece tattoo or whatever. I don't know.
Anything really. I'll talk One Piece with you. Shoot me a One Piece theory. Let's go back and forth, because some things just happened. Oh brother, we are in for a ride.
I have not watched One Piece in a minute. I need to get back on it because I have a long way to catch up. I've just been so distracted by freaking Viz manga.
I'm so glad that you signed up for Viz, dude.
And I've been reading a bunch of Junji Ito stuff. So I actually just finished Uzumaki. Is that what it's called? That was not how I expected that story to end. Absolutely wild. So yeah, I'm having a blast with that, getting into some manga. So if you have any recommendations on different mangas I should read off Viz, write them in to the mailbag segment.
Please.
And then we can talk about it on the show. All right, let's move on here. It's now time for the nerdy nudes.
It's now time for the nerdy nudes.
Absolutely gorgeous voice there. Love it. Fantastic. Better than the original. 10 out of 10. A remake that's actually good.
There have been good remakes now. Come on.
All right. Yeah, there have been good remakes. This first first news story. This first news story is coming to us, from PlayStation.blog. Sid Schumann writes. He's a senior director at Sony Interactive Entertainment of Content Communications, sorry. You're invited to the PlayStation Showcase broadcast live next Wednesday, May 24th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. It's almost time to see what's next. PlayStation Showcase broadcast live next Wednesday. The show will run a bit over an hour, focusing on PS5 and PSVR 2 games in development from top studios from around the world. Expect a glimpse at several new creations from PlayStation Studios, as well as spellbinding games from our third-party partners and indie creators. The live broadcast starts at 1 p.m. Wednesday, May 24th on YouTube and Twitch. Hope to see you there. So that will be happening the day this episode comes out. And so my thoughts were, hey, this is going to come out at 5 a.m. on Wednesday, as it always does. So that gives us, a few hours on YouTube and podcast services before the event happens for us to maybe talk about some possible predictions. So I thought I found an article that had some predictions. I figured we can talk about some of these, what we think. And then if there's any more we want to add to it, then we can. So coming from Push Square, Robert Ramsey, Sammy Barker, Stephen Tailby, Liam Croft, Aaron Bain, and Kale Adam over there write their predictions. Pardon me. One of the first ones they have is The Last of Us Factions 2. I don't know why it has the number 2. The Last of Us Factions will be fully announced. Fans of the original Factions. Oh.
That's a fair one to what?
Oh, I see. Last of Us Factions 2, because the first game had Factions. They're saying there's going to be the second game they think is going to be called Factions 2. I don't think it'll be called it. Whatever that game is, whatever this new multiplayer.
It's not going to be called Factions.
Yeah.
People are just doing that because that's
just what they know.
Thing that people associate multiplayer with.
His prediction, though, is basically, whatever this multiplayer project they've been working on, that's going to be announced. We're going to get some sort of reveal, whether maybe it's a release date, maybe it's just, some gameplay.
That's what I'm thinking.
There'll be some sort of announcement for other than just concept art, hopefully, at this. I think that's not too crazy, I feel like that's completely doable. I feel like
that's expected at this point, because Neil said last year that he was going to be showing up this year with some more information. So
my question would be, though, is that something we get at the PlayStation showcase, or because PlayStation is also included in the list of companies working with Summer Game Fest? Is that something? Because last year, that announcement where he said that was at Summer Game Fest with Jeff Keighley. So is that something where they don't do it at the PlayStation showcase, but they actually hold it till Summer Game Fest with Jeff Keighley?
So there was no showcase last year, so it made sense for Naughty Dog to be at Summer Game Fest. Now we have PlayStation doing their own thing. So if I'm Sony, and now that we got our thing this year, all of our first party stuff is on the showcase.
That's
if
true.
we have second party stuff, or special modes or skins or whatever for PlayStation stuff, then Jeff can have that.
Yeah.
You know what? Sony might give him one world premiere for Summer Game Fest or something like that.
Like a Death Stranding,
but it ain't
too.
going to be Faction. Yeah, they might give him Death Stranding
just because Hideo is so close to Jeff,
his best friend.
I could see that.
But they're not giving him that. They're not giving him Metal Gear. They're not giving him that. If that turns out to be true, they're not giving him Final Fantasy Rebirth. So they're gonna give him one of the second tier.
I was mistaken, because in my head I was thinking PlayStation State of Play, but now I'm realizing this is not a State of Play. They're calling this a showcase. So that's an important distinction that I missed. And so now that you've just mentioned that makes sense, because this is not just a State of Play. This is a showcase, as in this is what they would normally do at E3, essentially. So
right.
That makes you are right. I think you're correct in that we would not see something like that show up over at Summer Games Fest necessarily. Okay, so I think we have to at least see gameplay. Maybe we don't get a date yet, but we gotta see gameplay or something. Hey, yep, it's and maybe a tentative next year, maybe 2024 or something like that.
If Naughty Dog was all hands on deck for this, I would say we would see gameplay. But because they've had that team splinter off and do Last of Us Part 1, and they've been doing damage control trying to fix it, I think we still might get a cutscene or something. We'll at the very least we'll walk away with a cutscene and a date.
Yeah. Another prediction here by Aaron Bain is that Naughty Dog will announce its next project as well. Do you think there's a chance of that, or do you think they wait until Factions is out the door before they announce?
It's going to be one or the other. It won't be both.
Yeah, I feel like that's too much. Yeah, I agree. He also wants Super Hot to come to PSVR 2. At this point,
I'm pretty sure it is.
Not according to him. He says we know that PSVR 2 will be a big part of the showcase. It's on PSVR 1, but PSVR 1 games aren't compatible with PSVR 2.
Oh, thanks, Sony.
Which is wild, absolutely bonkers. That's one reason why I wasn't super ambitious and crazy about buying into PSVR 2, because I have a huge PSVR library from the time I had a PSVR, and the fact that none of those will carry over, it's no, I'm not going to start from scratch. It's wild. It's so stupid. All right, this prediction here from Kale Adams says we'll be forced to endure more Final Fantasy 16 gameplay footage.
Watch your mouth. Forced to endure. Didn't you see all the people talking about the previews today and how amazing that game looks? Forced.
Selkies just came in the chat. Says Super Hot 2, the hottening. I like that. I feel like, though, it's so close to Final Fantasy 16. I I get it. Like, I'm kind of at the point, like, stop showing stuff. Like, it's coming out next month. Everyone's very hyped. Like, maybe a quick little trailer as like in like part of the a sizzle reel, but we don't need like a full trailer. Just like have it in a sizzle reel or something like that. Like, we get it. It's coming out. Have the logo come up with a date or whatever in a sizzle reel, but we don't need like the full crazy thick trailer again.
You know what? I will say that you can probably take to the bank. We'll be getting a demo on Wednesday, or at least
Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, if we don't get a demo on Wednesday, it'll be at least by the end of the week, because Yoshi P said that they have a demo that they were going to put out. Oh. Basically the one that everybody played that they're talking about today.
Yeah.
It's supposed to come out between now and the release of the game. And what better place to put it out than right after the showcase?
Yeah.
So if it's not the day of, it'll be the week of. It'll be by the end of this week that we'll be getting that demo. And trust, I will be back with impressions.
You will be back. SLK says just double down and make a movie with all the cutscenes and show that. They won't.
Boo. Play the game. We already got that. We got Advent Children.
Yeah.
We do have a Final Fantasy movie. Thank you very much.
Which I bought. Remember what that there was like a last year sometime. It was like on sale on Amazon Prime, and you sent me the link, so I bought it. But I never watched it because I haven't played the second part of Final Fantasy VII, so it's like I don't know the rest of the story. So I don't want to play. Like, I don't want to watch the movie not knowing the rest of the story.
Well, you can, because I guess now we know that basically the remake is a different timeline. So you could watch the movie as its own timeline now.
That's true. This next prediction: Santa Monica teases something new.
Yes, because Corey's been heads down on something for a while, and nobody knows what it is. That's why he took a back seat.
Yeah. So I think we could definitely see something. I think it'll be similar to like what they did with God of War 2 at the time, like where it is just like a logo or just like a very quick like flash of something, and get everyone's gonna lose their mind, just like they did when they did it with God of War 2. As to what it is, we'll just have to wait and find out. But I think that's very probable. Death Stranding 2 is shown, and it's weirder than ever.
Nope. That'll be a Summer Game Fest.
Yeah, I actually stand by like what I said before. I think it's Summer Game Fest because it's not technically a first party studio. That is a indie or second party PlayStation studio, whatever you want to call it. And because
if Jeff doesn't walk away with anything else, he's gonna show off his best friend.
Because Keighley and Kojima are so freaking close. Like, it'd be wild for it not to be a Summer Game Fest. Like. So I think that's definitely a Summer Game Fest in a couple weeks thing. All right. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake is real, but there's more. He seems to think we get the announcement of he says he's pretty confident about the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, but he also thinks we're not going to get remakes, but they're going to bring Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2 back to the storefront to be able to play with a trophy list and stuff, because it's been off the market, the HD collection, because of licensing things for years now. They said it originally was going to be like within the year. They said they're going to get it back up. It's been like 2 or 3 years now. We haven't been able to play it digitally, and so is that something Kojima has to worry about or PlayStation has to worry about? Konami, you mean? Or yeah, Konami, sorry. Oh no, that's a Konami thing. Konami has to work that out. But yeah, so that's this guy's prediction is like they're going to announce a Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake, and then also, hey, in the meantime, before that comes out, maybe like, Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 and whatever, like the HD collection is back online now for you guys to play. Something like a port of 1 and then maybe like the HD collection ported to PS4 or 5 or whatever for you to play. I would be extremely happy with that. Like, I'd be honestly, they don't need to remake 3. Just make HD collection and like make all the games playable in their original state on a PS4 or PS5, and I'd be content. Oh, MGS4 on PS5. I'd be happy as a clam. Like, that's all you'd need to do. And let it run at 60. Oh my God. I don't need remakes. Just bring back the originals and let them run at 60, Okay, so here's the thing, right? That's nice for us to say, but we know they're going to do it anyway. They're going to do the remakes. Yeah. Now, somebody posed the question
and I want to hear what you think. Because they're doing MGS3 first, if you were trying to get somebody into the series with these remakes, somebody said that what they should do is they should just call this Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater and then just go like that.
And drop the numbers.
Yeah. Which, if you think about it, it does make sense. Because if you're going to do them in chronological order, right? Then it makes sense to not call this 3 if we're doing it that way.
Yeah. That it does make sense. But I don't think they would, only because we've already had 2 other Japanese studios release games out of order, and they just do not out of order, but like Resident Evil 2 remake was still just Resident Evil 2. It wasn't like Resident Evil remake. Silent Hill 2 remake is coming out soon, and they're calling it Silent Hill 2 remake. So I just don't think it's like, it makes a little more sense with Metal Gear, I guess, because it will be like, oh, here's 3, and then here's 1, and then here's
then 2, then 4.
Yeah.
No, it'd be 3, then 5, then 1,
right?
Then 2, then 4.
Yeah. But I also think that would, like, they have a ravenous fan group of Metal Gear Solid, like, you know, the Metal Gear Solid fan base to fight with. So that's the only reason I'm part of the, not me. I would not care. The Metal Gears, I'm part of the Metal Gear subreddit, and let me tell you, those people are wild on there. So I think
you love Metal Gear. They love Metal Gear.
Like they eat, sleep, and breathe Metal Gear, kind of like what I used to be, but even more so.
Are you checking this out though? If it's a thing, like, even though there's no technically Kojima on it.
Like I said,
does that bring up a worry?
Because I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago when the rumors are popping up. I think I would at least check it out. But if it's bad, then all right, then I would just, at least I have the originals, you know. Because for me, like, yeah, I'm a Kojima fan first, but I also still love Metal Gear, and so like just to experience Metal Gear any way I can, I will do.
I'm just checking again. I just want to see if your head state is still the same.
No, like I'm not happy with Konami, the way they've handled things over the last few years, and especially some of their IPs. But I don't know. Metal Gear is such a huge part of who I am. It would be wild for me not to at least try the new ones. Give them a little bit of a shot. I mean, heck, I even gave Metal Gear Solid 5 a shot. I didn't like it. I didn't play it. You know, I put like a handful of hours. You don't
like Big Boss though either, so you were already off on a bad foot.
I put a handful of hours in. I'm like, no, I'm out, and I've never gone back.
I didn't like that Kojima replaced him for Kiefer Sutherland. That threw me way off.
Granted, because I've watched plenty of videos and I've had everything spoiled for Metal Gear Solid 5. I know the whole story without ever playing the thing. Like, I know all the theories and all the crazy stuff. Knowing like the story, I'm like, it kind of makes sense because.
Yeah, I get it, but still, it
sucks. Because I mean, that was kind of a Kojima thing because he just wanted to work with a movie actor,
that's really what it was at the end of the day.
Yeah, which is sad, really.
Because if you talk to David Hayter, he's like, I don't know why they didn't call me, you know?
Yeah.
So at least that's the official story.
Yeah. They have a couple random other predictions here that are like, they want a Honkai Star Rail getting a release date. I don't even know what that is.
That's some kind of like Genshin Impact.
Okay. So they want that to get a release date, maybe. I
wouldn't be surprised. The Genshin Impact is already on PS5, so it's only a matter of time for this.
A new indie game quietly becomes the star of the show, and he says in the form of like Kena Bridges Spirits or Sifu, how they blew up, you know, the last couple years during the showcases. He thinks there's going to be like a little indie game that kind of like takes over, like everyone's going to latch on to. No,
I hope so.
He doesn't really mention what, but there's a prediction for Monster Hunter World 2. Do you think we get
I would rather get Monster Hunter 5, honestly.
Yeah.
Than World 2.
I think you've talked about that.
But that's just my personal that's my personal opinion. I'd rather just get 5.
Let's see. Prediction for Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. I don't even know what that is. Is it? This is like one of the Yakuza games, right? Okay, yeah. So he's saying like a sequel to the Like a Dragon.
I'm gonna call him Yakuza. I know you don't want me to call him Yakuza, Sega, but that's what they are. Sorry.
Grand Blue Fantasy.
You can't call it Yakuza for 7 games and then be like, actually, it's not Yakuza anymore.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Grand Blue Fantasy Relink gets a release date. Again, not sure what that is, but whatever.
It's a fighting game, I believe.
Sure, maybe. Marvel's Wolverine reminds you it's real. So they think they're going to be some sort of trailer or teaser. That's maybe
we'll get a trailer, no gameplay. We'll get a trailer though.
Yeah,
and probably a date.
Maybe
we'll get a year at least.
Yeah, we might get a year. Bloodborne is back. Do you think there's actually any chance of getting either a remake or a sequel to Bloodborne?
I think a remake is infinitely more likely than a sequel.
Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't mean necessarily that it'll happen.
Yeah.
Because people have been clamoring for it for so long. If this comes out and flops because only like 13 people are asking for it, Sony will never do this again. They will never greenlight that again from software.
I mean, they remade Demon Souls, and I feel like Bloodborne was... Demon Souls was Demon
Souls got overhauled, though.
Right. So, I mean, they'd have to do something like similar to Bloodborne. But, I mean, I feel like there's a much bigger fan base for Bloodborne than there was for Demon Souls, and people love Demon Souls. So, if there's already a huge fan base for Bloodborne, if there's overhauled Bloodborne, like, people lose their freaking minds, I feel like. So, right. I feel like that'd be. I'm not going to
say it's impossible. I'm going to say it's unlikely. Yeah. Because if they haven't done it by now, I don't know what they're waiting for. Because people have been clamoring for it for the whole time. Ever since, PS4 Pro. Like, are you going to upgrade it for PS4 Pro? Yeah, are you going to upgrade it for PS5? And they never did.
Marvel Spider-Man 2 launches October 20th, 2023.
Didn't we know that already?
We don't have any date for Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I thought we got like some kind of trailer earlier this year about that with a date on it. I'll say definitely September or October. That's because it's gonna want to get out of the way of Starfield.
So according to Wikipedia, it says initial release date September 2023, but there's no news articles that talk about when it's coming out. So I don't know where Wikipedia got that. I guess anyone could write whatever they want on Wikipedia. I could see that. I think it'll have to be September or October, like around there it comes out. That makes complete sense. I'm excited for that game. That looks so sick. The last prediction here, Team Asobi reveals its hand. This person, Stephen Telby, wants a full-blown Astros game. We got Astrobot Rescue Mission for PSVR, but where's our full-blown game just for like standard PS5? Which I'd be down.
Would you? Because I honestly just want another game the length of Playroom.
I mean, I'd be happy with that too. Oh yeah, I'd be happy with
Playroom is a masterpiece, honestly, that people don't talk about, which is weird because you get it for free.
Right.
I would pay now knowing what that game is and how it plays and all that, I would have paid a good amount of money for that game.
Yeah. Yeah, so their prediction though is like either another Astros game or even just any full blown. They just want anything from Team Asobi that's like a full blown like game of some sort, even if it's new IP. But I would love it to be Astro.
If I'm Sony and I want to be smart, I'm having them do another rescue mission for PSVR 2.
Yeah,
that's the only logical thing I think I would do because. We're sounds like PSVR 2 is on its track to being a
dead
Vita VR.
Yeah, right. I would love to see something. If we do, I think it would be VR. Unfortunately, I think it's best case for Sony because they need to have something for VR. But it's just a bummer because I'll never be able to play it. Because I don't plan on getting a PSVR 2 unless it's handed to me, basically.
Not while it's that price.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out Wednesday afternoon. Later today, if you're listening to this on Wednesday.
Hold on. I got one that...
Yeah, so what's your prediction outside of these?
So, the streets are a-talking.
Oh boy.
And people are saying that there is a Persona 3 remake floating around here in the depths. And if we happen to, this is my pie in the sky. I'm throwing my chair across the room. All right.
Okay.
If we get this, so they're saying it's a Persona 3 remake that's in the style of 5. So it'll look and it'll feel kind of like Persona 5, but it'll be the story and the characters and setting of Persona 3. And if that happens to show up at a certain showcase, popping all the way off, that is a instant buy. And if it's by the Persona team, forget about it. That's one thing. My second thing is, you remember that handheld that people were talking about for a hot minute from Sony?
Oh, yeah.
If by some magical miracle it turns out to not be a streaming thing, but it turns out to be an actual handheld, like that has its own games and whatnot, it's a day one buy. It's a day one buy.
I do not think we get anything about a handheld, only because they specifically say they're just doing announcements for PS5 and PSVR 2.
They say stuff like that at stuff all, but you know what? Before we go, we got one last surprise for you. Every company does that, dude.
Yeah, maybe.
Let them fool around, Garrett, and bring out a new handheld.
Yeah.
Not a streaming handheld, like an actual handheld.
Right. I mean, with everyone else doing handhelds,
chaos in this room.
With everyone else doing handhelds, they gotta show up to the table with something.
They have to see, right? Like, you think at this point, Switch doing numbers, Steam Deck hit 1 million, and it's like a niche product. This Asus thing sounds like it's got some heat going for it.
The ROGL.
What are we waiting for?
That thing's like blowing up, and it's not even out yet.
Right.
So.
Let's do this. Let's do this, Jim. Come on, PSP2. Call it PSP2. I'm telling you. That's all you have to do. Call it PSP2 and make it like somewhere in between a Steam Deck and the ROG, and you'll be fine. Just do that. I don't know. Oh, it's so annoying because it's sitting right there on the table, man.
Oh, so good. Yeah, well, we'll have to wait until this afternoon then to see what happens here. But until then, it's time to move on to our next. By the way, yeah, we are going to be live reacting to that. So make sure to catch over at twitch.tv/TheSuperGamerBoys at 1 p.m. Pacific time, or later on youtube.com/SuperGamerBoys.
Wait, you don't have anything?
I mean, my predictions would have just been like basically some of the stuff that was said, like either mine was the Team Asoba like Astro thing, or Metal Gear stuff, which they already had in the article. So I wouldn't have more than that. That's all I care about.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just haven't been like the only rumblings I've been hearing about is like, and again that I care about is like Death Stranding or Metal Gear stuff. You know.
Right, and we're getting those.
And I guarantee, like they seem almost guaranteed at this point. Like at least Death Stranding again, not at PlayStation, but at some sort of event this summer. So yeah, sorry, nothing special for me. Like this article kind of nailed it. I'm like, yeah, no, 100%. This is what I would have thought. All right, let's move on here to the next news story. This one running a little long on this show, but that's all right. This next news story comes from The Verge, written by Ash Parrish. Overwatch 2's director explains why its big PvE mode was canceled.
I don't care. You did it. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever reasoning you have, it's not going to be sufficient.
I'm just gonna get to the bit here real quick. So he apologized.
You can read it. Go ahead. I need to grab something anyway.
Okay. Game director Aaron Keller published a blog in which he apologized for the seemingly sudden cancellation of a portion of Overwatch 2's PvE content. The blog also shared some detail about the origins of the Overwatch PvE, the shifting vision for the content, and why the team decided to exit. Earlier this week, in a developer live stream that shared the rest of Overwatch 2's 2023 roadmap, Keller and the executive producer Jared Neuse made the shocking announcement that highly anticipated Hero Mode, one part of the game's PvE content, had been scraped. Hero Mode was essentially a single-player version of Overwatch. Keller described it as a game mode that allowed players to upgrade individual heroes through talent trees, providing a deeply replayable version of PvE in Overwatch 2. Keller explained that Hero Mode had been in development since Overwatch launched in 2016, and it apparently was part of the vision the team had for the Project Titan, the canceled FPS MMO from which Overwatch was born. When we launched Overwatch in 2016, we quickly started talking about what the next iteration would be, he wrote. Work began on the PvE portion of the game. We steadily continued shifting more and more of the team to work on those features. Keller said that as development continued on Hero Mode, the scope simply grew too big. We were trying to do too many things at once, and we lost focus. We had an exciting but gargantuan vision, and we were continuously pulling resources away from the live game in an attempt to realize it. In the first few years of Overwatch Prime's existence, the game was regularly updated with holiday-themed content. New game modes and features like Deathmatch and the Creators Workshop kept the game relatively fresh. But around 2019, when Overwatch 2 was announced, the game was starting to feel the effects of Blizzard internally focusing on the development of PvE content. That's why the game went 2 years between hero releases when they had been previously released every 4 to 5 months. As development on Overwatch 2 continued, the team made the decision to essentially bifurcate the game's release rather than continuing to delay it. The competitive multiplayer part of the game would come first, landing in October 2022, and the PvE portion would come sometime in 2023. After Overwatch 2 had launched, we started refining our plans for future seasons, Keller wrote, and as those plans grew, we tried to find ways to make all of the ambitions fit together in a plan that we believed in. We couldn't. So we made the difficult decision to cut hero missions and start planning for the future. Keller then apologized, acknowledging just how much the Overwatch community and development team were invested in Hero Mode while taking personal responsibility for its failure. This has been hard for us, but as a director on this project, I have to do my best to make decisions that put the game and the community first, even when those decisions are disappointing, he wrote. In this case, I had trouble pivoting away from a vision that just wasn't working, and for that, I would like to apologize to our players and to our team. I'm sorry. So, essentially, the reason they canceled it is because they had been developing this mode technically since before Overwatch, the first game, came out. And they've been developing it, eventually turned into Overwatch 2, developing it, and just could never nail down what exactly they wanted. And so eventually they just canceled it, even though it was literally the point of Overwatch 2, which is bizarre. Adrian, being a big Overwatch fan, how's this hit you?
I don't even know where to start, honestly, with this. Like I said at the top of the show, dude, I am such a massive fan of Overwatch and the Overwatch IP, and I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like, they were showing stuff off in 2019, you know, of what we could be looking forward to and previews of stuff that they were tinkering with for Hero Mode. And then it's honestly kind of weird that they kept saying, well, the PvE mode kept pulling people away from the PvP, but you had already got the PvP down. There was not much really that you needed to work on with it. Like, the core gameplay is there. So outside of balancing, what were you really doing that was vastly different, that needed, all hands on deck for the PvP?
I mean, the only thing they mentioned, the weird part. The only thing they mentioned was like characters. Like they said with Overwatch 1, character releases went from 4 to 5 months to like over a year till the next character or whatever. But like, I feel like that's more an issue with like whoever just made the teams, like team planning. That's just poor team planning. Like,
yes,
I feel like you can, like, these games are definitely making enough money to have a team big enough to work on multiplayer and keep new characters coming out and also work on PvE. Like, there's no reason why Activision Blizzard, one of the biggest, gaming developers in the world, couldn't kind of.
Not to mention, I think Overwatch is probably one of their top, like, grossing IP. So if they just would have asked for it, I'm sure Activision would have supplied, them with the capital to get more staff to work on it.
Yeah. Like, yeah,
there's no way if I'm Bobby Kotick and I see, oh man, this Overwatch thing it's making us, billions. What? They need more people? No, we can't figure it out.
Yeah,
we can't do it.
Sorry. Yeah, to me, it comes down to like it really just seems like this director just doesn't know how to manage teams. Like, I don't know.
Which is fair because
no offense to him, like I don't know who he is. Like maybe he's fantastic at managing teams, but in this case, like it just the excuse doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up. Like, so that's all I'm saying.
This director is actually not the original Overwatch director. So the original Overwatch director left shortly before this, Jeff Kaplan. And he was the one that got Overwatch to, like, he steered the ship to get Overwatch where it is now. Mm-hmm. But it seems like after he left, everything just kind of went haywire because he felt like he actually cared about Overwatch. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, this was his baby, right? So once he left, I think that drive and that fire left with him to, kind of make Overwatch what everybody is looking for it to be. And it just never recovered. And it sucks, Man. Like when you have the vision, but you can tell people what to do with it, before you leave. Hey, this is my vision for the game. You should do this, this, and this. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have the skills or the ethic to pull it off like you can. And I think that's just what happened is the new guy came in and things were already in place one way and he just, it didn't work with his style and everything kind of just imploded, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's sad, especially for like, that was literally the point of Overwatch 2. Like, yeah, there's no reason for Overwatch 2 except that they were like, oh, we need to like upgrade and update some things to make this work with the single player deal. And it
could have just been an update for You didn't need to call it 2. And Overwatch could just have been a platform.
Yeah. And so the fact that they did all that and then to pull the one reason that they did the change, it's like, I just don't.
You could have called it Overwatch Update 2.0.
Right. I mean, that's what
that way it's still Overwatch.
Fortnite does their seasons. Let's do like season whatever.
Overwatch Chapter 2 or whatever. You could have done anything then call it Overwatch 2. It's not a sequel. This is not a sequel to this game. Yeah. It is the same game.
Yeah.
So wild. No, that sucks. It sucks. Wild. I don't know if Overwatch is going to recover from this because they've already lost a ton of players even before the announcement that PvE was getting cut. Just because everybody kind of figured out that it was just Overwatch 1 again. Even though you can try to make it free to play as much as you want, but if there's nothing to make them stick around like the first one, then they're going to leave, which they've done. So yeah, I don't know if we see Overwatch come out of this, which would really, like I said, be a detriment to games as a whole to see an IP as brilliant as Overwatch go to the wayside. But what can we do? You never want something to fail, but you also have to, potentially read the room if something is in danger. Yeah. Yeah. Man. Well, hopefully they can figure something out. Who knows? Maybe they'll like in the next 6 months get their act together and be like, just kidding. You know what? We figured out something and we're going to make this work. Like the best case scenario. But yeah, unfortunately it feels like that's kind of a lost cause at this point. All right, this last news story. Let's get into this real quick. Not much news other than GTA 6. According to Paul Tassi here over at Forbes, GTA 6 now has a release year. He says it very confidently, but wait until you hear this. You might feel the same way. Take-Two just had an earnings report come out, and there is one particular section that appears to be quite attention-grabbing. Looking ahead to the future, Take-Two says that fiscal 2025 is a highly anticipated year for the company. I think we know what that means, but you can see if you can figure it out. In fiscal 2025, we expect to enter this new era by launching several groundbreaking titles that we believe will set new standards in our industry and enable us to achieve over $8 billion in net bookings and over $1 billion in adjusted unrestricted operating cash flow. We expect to sustain this momentum by delivering even higher levels of operating results in fiscal 2026 and beyond. The article goes on here. $8 billion in net bookings? It's Grand Theft Auto.
It's Grand Theft Auto 6. Rockstar has said practically nothing about GTA 6, just tiny teasers, while huge-scale leaks have revealed a project that looks vast and detailed in scope, and also quite good, even for being absurdly early in production when the footage was recorded. But what this news report means is that GTA 6 should in fact have a release year, which will fall in the fiscal year 2025, which the dates of that being between April 1st of 2024 or March 31st of 2025. Within that time period, holiday 2024 seems like the most likely option, given that all major games at least aim for that window, which has generally made it the most crowded. Yeah, I think that's a very valid assumption that Paul Tassi here is making. What other properties does Rockstar have that could make them $8 billion in net bookings and over $1 billion in adjusted unrestricted operating cash flow?
The closest, and it's not even close by any means, would be Red Dead.
Yeah.
But Red Dead is already out and it already has an online, and it's not even close to GTA. So it has to be.
Yeah, that was
GTA.
It does say titles plural, so I'm like, I could definitely see GTA 6. One of my other theories was like, oh, maybe they do like a spin-off game like what they did with Undead Nightmare with the first one. But you had a good point. Like Undead Nightmare came out like 5 months after the first game. It's been, years now since Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. It would be kind of wild for them to suddenly come out with like a spin-off DLC game. But, I mean...
There's no way.
There has to be, like, I'm just curious why they say titles plural. Like, there has to be something else besides, like... Are they bringing Bully back? I know that's been like a wish for people. Like, bring back Bully. We want Bully.
Bully's not $1 billion game. Now, the only thing it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be $1 billion game. Just all their assets combined, which GTA 6 is doing the heavy lifting, and then Bully comes out. You know,
more than the heavy lifting. We were saying Midnight Club might make a return.
Midnight Club, so good. Love it.
I mean, think about it, right? You got Forza, you got Gran Turismo. And just for a third alternative, there you go. Midnight Club. Doing something neither of the other two are doing.
Yeah. I don't, since Need for Speed's not really doing their thing anymore. At least not good. The
last one was all right.
Was it all right?
Unbound was okay.
Okay. There's one that came out, like last year, and I didn't play it, but okay. I also remember not hearing about it either. Like, it just kind of like came out and everyone moved on. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, but it's like the new Need for Speeds, I feel like they don't have that charm. Like,
they're not Most Wanted.
Yeah, like Most Wanted and like Underground, like even like Underground, like those games were all so good. I was even a fan of Carbon. I know that the one's not super loved, but like those four, like
next you're gonna tell me you like Pro Street.
No, that one is not good. But no, like Underground 1 and 2, Most Wanted, Carbon, like that era of like just like basically the street racing culture. Like, if that's all those games like focused around mainly. I miss those. I miss the old Need for Speed so much. I wish it'd come back. So if they did a Midnight Club, it'd be so good.
Never say never.
Oh, come on, Rockstar. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you have anything else to add to this other than GTA 6 is coming out?
We know it's GTA 6.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we're getting a release year. They're saying 25. It's believable.
Fiscal,
I wouldn't be surprised if they said
25. Fiscal year 25, which is anywhere from 2024 to 2025, like I read there.
I mean, that development footage that we saw, that leaked out earlier, what was it, last year?
Yeah.
It seemed pretty far along, even though it wasn't optimized. Everybody was talking about, the textures aren't in there. The frame rate. And I'm like, dude, that's how development, like polishing and everything all like that is the last phase. They're just trying to make sure it's not breaking right now.
Yeah, they just want to make sure it's not just held together with duct tape and super glue,
Right. So if they were, close to the end of development and they, are now just optimizing, then I can see possibly the end of next year.
Yeah.
So you never know.
We will have to wait and see. Maybe we see that Summer Game Fest. That'd be wild.
This year? Yeah, could be. That'd be a huge get for Jeff.
Yeah, imagine that. Hooey. Wild. All right. Well, that is it for the news this week. Now it's time for our Patreon ad. This is the part of the show where I tell you to go over to patreon.com/supergamerboys. Support's over there starting at just $1 a month. That's right, $1, and you get episodes early and ad-free, such as this show, as well as Super Gamer Book Club. If you've been missing out on Super Gamer Book Club, or you're on the fence about supporting us, and you're like, what is this show he's talking about? Go over to youtube.com/supergamerboys or podcast apps and just search for Super Gamer Book Club, and it'll show up there. We each and every month play a game, talk about it. Adrian hosts it. It's fantastic. We really love it. I love it anyways. I'm usually a guest on there with them, and once in a while we have other special guests join us, just like this month. We're doing Super Metroid, and we're going to have the Nintendo Cartridge Society. Patrick and Mark over there are going to be joining us, and going to be a lot of fun. So think about supporting us. Just $1. You can get those early and ad-free, as well as this podcast. At the $5 level, you can get the show notes early. You know what we're going to talk about on these shows, on these episodes, and you can leave your own questions, comments, concerns straight on the show doc. So that way, if there's an article you have thoughts about, listener question you want to answer, whatever it might be, support us at $5 a month, and you can be a part of the show, essentially. $10 a month, you can be a Super Gamer sponsor. You get a shout out at the top of every show, just like we do each and every episode. You always hear us read off those names. You could be one of those names there, as well as all the previous perks. And then the top dog tier, $15 a month, you can be a Patreon producer, where you get all those previous perks, as well as the ability to pitch us a segment, and we'll give it the old college try in the air here. Adrian used to be a Patreon producer, and that's how he started out with Super Indie Boys. That was a little segment he sent to us, and we would literally stream the video live on air for people to watch. And then we've had a lot of fun segments throughout the year that were inspired by our fantastic producers. So think about supporting us there. Remember, patreon.com/supergamerboys. Links are in the description for that. And hopefully we'll see you over there on Patreon, early and ad-free. Get it? You don't have to listen to me ramble on right here. This would all be cut out. Never have to hear this again. And we also would love your support over on Twitch. If you happen to be watching live on Monday nights when we record, twitch.tv/thesupergamerboys, you can subscribe for free if you have an Amazon Prime account. If you link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account, you can use your Prime Gaming sub. It gives you one free sub each and every month. Cost you $0. We get $5. The only catch, you got to remember to do it each and every month. So if you did it last month or 6 months ago, got to remember to go back in there and give it to us. And we very much appreciate it when you do. We know it takes that little extra time and effort. And so just the fact that those who do give it to us are willing to do that, take that time. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And if you didn't even know about it, go check it out. Go link those accounts, send us that sub, help support the channel. All right. That's it for the ads this week. Let's get back to the show. Alrighty, this is a part of the show where I ask, what you
Tears
playing?
of the Kingdom.
Yep. All right, there we go. What you playing? Tears of the Kingdom. That's pretty much it, huh? I real quick here, Adrian, the elephant in the room. You posted something on the Discord earlier today.
Yeah, I didn't realize I had not seen the light of the sun since May 12th.
Oh no!
It turns out, according to my Switch, we don't even know if it's correct.
It's probably
let's put that out there first. Since 9:00 p.m. on Thursday, May 11th, up until this morning, the Nintendo Switch says that I have put in 100 hours.
100 or more hours, didn't it say 100 or more hours?
You didn't have to put the or more in there, all right?
That is absolutely
I would like to
wild. I just gotta say, I cannot even imagine what 100 hours in a game looks like.
Well, you're looking at it.
All right. It looks pretty good. You look pretty good for 100 hours
Thank you.
in Zelda, honestly.
Now, I would like to say that this is not... I did do other things. I went places. I did go places. I had to go places.
Is there a little asterisk there, like in Hyrule?
No, like I brought my Switch with me, but I did go out and do other things that I had to do, like errands or stuff with my family or whatnot. So
I just imagine you like at the grocery store buying groceries, just pushing a cart, like with your chest and just like holding the Switch there in front of you playing while you're like walking around like a zombie.
I'm not gonna lie and say that I didn't think about doing that. I did not do that, but I did not think about it.
Or you drove to the grocery store and then did the pickup option where they bring it out to you and you're just sitting in the parking lot playing Zelda, waiting for your groceries to come out.
I think the majority of it was really, it was late in the day was when I really started to hammer those hours in, because I noticed that I would play through the weariness, I guess. Like I would play so late. I'm not used to being up late anymore. I'm an old man. I'm 32, right? I don't stay up late anymore. The last time I remember staying up like actually late, like doing an all-nighter, was God of War. Okay. I stayed up because it was so the original 2018. That story was so compelling. I stayed up till like 6 a.m. to finish it.
Dang.
Since then, it has been an old man schedule. I am in the bed. I am probably asleep by 10 o'clock, right? So this past week, I have been playing so late that I can feel my eyes. Like I can feel them. Like, you know, those cutaway scenes in like SpongeBob or Ren and Stimpy where they do that still and the character looks super ugly.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like my face is doing.
All bloodshot eyes and like wrinkly.
Yes, like I can feel it. Like, right. Like my eyes feel like sandpaper. They're so just dry from being open. And I was playing like that constantly into the night.
Man.
So that I think is where the most time got put in. I was not expecting it to be 100 hours. I was like, oh, it's for sure, you know, maybe 60, 70. Right. But here we are. So
that's incredible. I looked, so you sent that and I looked, I'm like, I put in quite a few hours. I was thinking like, oh, maybe 15 or 20, close to 30. I was thinking like 20 to 30. I was like, I know I haven't played a ton, but I feel like I've played quite a bit. I played over the weekend, and most nights I've been firing it up. Like Trudy will go to sleep and I play it until like midnight or something like that. I looked at my clock and mine says 10 hours or more. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I was thinking it was at least 20 hours, maybe 30. I'm like, I'm barely 10. Really? I feel like I've played so much. I was like, I almost felt ashamed of it, which is funny because like, I don't know, like as if it's a bad thing that I haven't played it a lot. But
you just have to be like me and not have a job and just have all the time in the world, because that is the only way I would have been able to put this much time into this game.
Yeah, there we go. I'll just call in tomorrow and tell my boss I'm done. I have Zelda to play.
See, I call in every day, but I don't have anybody to call in to. So
there you go. I guess the only other, so this is funny because it's not really a game. The only other game I've been playing, only reason I call it a game is because Shep is super stoked about it. I might have mentioned this last week on the show, like briefly, not during the What You Playing, but during the top of the show. I've been learning Japanese with Duolingo.
Oh, yes.
And I don't think I talked about it on the show. I think it was before the show. I was just telling you like the story because my boys have been enjoying sitting with me while I do it. And so Shepard's always like, when are we going to play that game again? And he's talking about Duolingo, like doing more Japanese lessons. I'm like, all right, give me a minute. Like, let me finish dishes or whatever. Or like, let me finish eating my lunch, and then we can do some Duolingo. But dude, I've been like cranking it out. I'm at 20. How many days is my streak? My streak's
I think the last thing I saw said 21.
Yeah. So I'm at 23 as of today. Just today. Yeah. I every 7 days, they do the big thing. So I post on Instagram or whatever, but 23 days in now, learning some Japanese. I've almost learned all of the hiragana, kind of alphabet or whatever you want to call it. I've almost learned all of that. And pretty soon I'm going to be moving into the katakana. which will be interesting because it's like, I don't know. It's honestly been a lot of fun. And I think this is going to sound crazy. It's been sucking me in like more than Zelda lately. Don't get me wrong. Tears of the Kingdom is incredible.
No.
But I've found myself some nights, like after the kid's gone to bed and Trudy's like busy doing something, I could have been playing Zelda, but instead I've spent like an hour and a half just doing Japanese lessons on Duolingo because it's so much fun. So
you will never hear me talk bad about you wanting to learn another language.
So
all right,
you're
gonna get to the point where I'm gonna be jealous of you because you're gonna be able to watch anime without subtitles, and I'm gonna be like, man, I should have just did it when he did it.
Yeah, I even bought a poster on Amazon just so I can like practice. Like, so even while I'm working, I have this up on the wall with all like the hiragana characters.
Do they have like a workbook you can get? You know how like when we were in school, they give you like a handwriting or a workbook to do?
I haven't gotten the katakana yet, but this is that chart too. I'm excited for that one. So
like you have to write
Duolingo,
like the cat jumped over the fence. The cat, and you have to write it a bunch of times.
Duolingo, I mean, obviously Duolingo doesn't have anything because they're just an app. But there actually is a fantastic resource I found, and they do have a book. It's only a PDF, and I was looking at printing it, but it's like 80 pages. So I was like, I'm not going to print
take
that.
It to a FedEx.
Yeah, I need to take it to like a FedEx or something. But it's called, what's it called? Oh, no. Frick. Oh, it's right here. Hang on. Tofugu. Tofugu.com has fantastic resources on there, and they have a book, like a PDF you can get for both hiragana and katakana, and it actually shows up like it's really nice on the iPad, and they have some really cool mnemonic devices to help you remember the characters, which is very cool because that was like it's basically, it's memorization. Like, you know, you're trying to learn these alphabets, and it's like, all right, each one has its own sound or whatever. And so they have, these cool mnemonic devices like, oh, well, this one is shaped like this. And you can imagine this shape is similar to this, and this bird makes this sound or whatever like that, you know,
right?
Just like, so you can see it and almost see a picture, and stuff like that in your head. So, if you're looking to learn Japanese, Duolingo, and then like the workbook from Tofugu.
Send me that link.
Tofugu, sorry. Tofugu is fantastic. So I'll send the link to you and check it out. We're not sponsored by them, but heck, they've been killing it over there, doing some good stuff. So go check them out. It's been a blast. I really started getting serious about. I was like, I want to go to Japan. For years, I've always talked about it. Like, it'd be cool to go to Japan. And finally, I'm like, no, like I'm getting older now. I'm turning 30 this year in October, and the fact that I have not like made a trip to Japan yet is wild to me. And so I was like, I'm taking this very seriously. Like, I'm going to learn Japanese. I'm saving up, and I'm going to do a big Japanese, like a big Japan trip at some point. And obviously it'd be awesome if you came. We could do a big Super Gamer Boys thing, but at the very least, like, I want to go. And I was like, I need to do it. It's wild to me that I've not been there yet. So
now, only thing I can tell you is I co-sign this as having the experience, the what's the word? I guess the privilege to be able to actually have gone. It is worth every cent that I did pay for it the initial time. I do intend on going back one day. I don't know when exactly that day is going to be, but I know for a fact that I want to go back. So I'm all behind you wanting to go. I definitely think you should. It's I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's just, it's such a, and I'm not even talking about like, oh, the video game part. No, dude, the countryside, like the small towns, that's where it's at. Those are like the views and the, you know, just the places you want to walk through. That's
I've fallen
what you go
down
there for.
So in the last 2 weeks, I guess 3 weeks, because basically since I started learning Japanese, I've kind of fallen down the rabbit hole of just watching YouTube videos about Japan. And there's a channel called Abroad Japan, which is a British dude who's lived over there for like 10 years now, 11 years or whatever, who's a YouTuber. And he has like hundreds of videos, and I've watched like hundreds of them because while I'm working, so like on one monitor I have his video going, the other one I'm building websites and or making graphic design stuff. And so like I've watched like hundreds of his videos in the last 3 weeks, and like he does a lot of that where he's like goes to these kind of the more remote or unexplored or like smaller things, like hey, like don't go to Ichiran ramen or whatever it's called, like go to this hole in the wall place, they have killer ramen here and stuff like that. Don't go to the chains, like and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh man, like I've been kind of in my head putting together an itinerary for what I'd want to do one day. Like, all right, I want to, I don't want to just go to Tokyo and just bomb around Tokyo. Like, no, I want to do like.
Tokyo is nice. It is fun. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but that's like one small part of the total experience that you could have there. I found this video and it wasn't by Chris Broad, by Broad in Japan, is by someone else, and he had an itinerary. That was actually the name of the video. It was like a 2-week itinerary for visiting Japan, and he had it starting in where was it? Great, now I'm blanking on it. Now I'm about to talk about it. a different Just tell city, me what it was about. Osaka. He had it starting in Osaka, and then going to Koyasan, Nara, Kyoto, Kanazawa, Takayama, and then ending in Tokyo. And so it's 2 weeks, and you spend a couple days in each place. And you can do that all that comfortably in 2 weeks, kind of like a couple days at each of these locations. And he has like a whole thing. So I was like, that's a pretty killer itinerary, honestly. The YouTube channel called Alan Sue on YouTube. So check it out. Better bookmark it.
It's an incredible video. Yeah, I have it liked and bookmarked on YouTube, but very much I'm interested and I'm ready to go. So get on it. Start saving your pennies, Adrian, because
I have to get to a place where they can give me pennies first, and then we can talk about saving pennies. All right.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. All right. Well, yeah. So that's all I've been playing is Tears of the Kingdom and Duolingo. Living the dream. Pretty soon,
Japan Simulator.
Pretty soon I'll be able to play all my video games in Japanese. That's what I'm hoping for.
I mean, you joke, but like
play Tears of the Kingdom in Japanese.
Like I said, you joke, but learning another language is like a superpower to me. Like being able to just go back and forth like that, it's so impressive. And even the people who were fortunate enough to grow up in multilingual houses, that is such a blessing, I think.
Oh yeah, no, it's
just to be able to have that opportunity to know more than one language, because that gives you so many more opportunities, even just in like the workplace. Like you can't imagine how many people are looking for bilingual or more, trilingual, whatever, job candidates. So that's a major advantage, not only in work but just in general. Like that's an interesting thing about a person being able to speak more than one language.
Totally, yeah.
So.
And my grand plan is I'm going to become fluent in Japanese and go work for Hideo Kojima at Kojima Productions. So that's my 5 to 10 year plan.
You joke. Crazier things have happened, dude.
We'll see. Maybe one day he's scanning my body in the Death Stranding 3.
Nah, I can tell you this. If you start working at Kojima Productions, this is the end of this, because I'm not getting up at 3 a.m. to try to match your time zone, all right?
They have the LA branch. I have the LA branch now doing the TVs and movie shows and stuff. TV shows and movies.
Yeah, you'd be over there then. You wouldn't be doing game stuff. You'd be doing film and TV.
Yeah, it's all right. I get to work with the real Norman Reedus instead of a virtual one. All right, that's the end of our show. This is a goodie. We went a little long for episode 200. This is a jam-packed episode. Yeah, we had some fantastic questions, awesome news stories, and we got to talk about some good games and Japan, cool stuff. It's great. Thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. Again, for these past 200 episodes, we couldn't have done it without you guys. Because honestly, from the beginning, at the very beginning, if it wasn't for the 5 friends and family who listened for those first few couple months, that's what it was. It was literally like, 5 downloads, and JJ's like, one of those was me. Like, all right, so 4 downloads. like, I don't know if I would have had the courage to keep going. So the fact that, like, you know, we started small and like we've just grown with love and support from all of you listeners and viewers over the years. Thank you all very much, because that's what really, makes this all just worthwhile. Like, again, these are all things we'd probably do without you guys, but the production value and the fun that we have, just like that we're able to put into it by having you guys as inspiration. That's what it is. You guys, the listeners, are like just the inspiration and the energy we need to keep making cool things and keep getting better. So here's to another 200 more. It's to getting better and making cool things, making more sweet content for you all. If you want to support us in that endeavor, go over to patreon.com/supergamerboys. Remember, it's just $1 a month. You can support us over there and help keep this train a-rolling. sgbstore.com. You can buy some merch and support us that way by showing off your love for 200 episodes with a big old Super Gamer Boys t-shirt or sticker slapped on your water bottle, or that sick coffee mug with our faces on it. Show it off at your workplace. Rate and review us where you can. We'd appreciate that, and that helps obviously get some eyes on our podcast. And on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that, whether good or bad. I don't care if it's positive or negative. Any interaction, YouTube likes it. So give a thumbs up, give a subscribe, and then throw whatever comment you want on there. You know, help us grow. Shout out to Jack Sriracha and Yate once again for allowing us to use their music on our show. Find them. Please go listen to them on Apple Music and Spotify. Incredible artists there that have been with us for a long time. Honestly, I can't remember when exactly we started with them, but I appreciate them giving us the okay to use their tunes. They make some great stuff, and they deserve all the love. You can find us during the week at supergamerboys.com, Twitter and Instagram at supergamerboys. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at gmorlang. Adrian, where can they find you at?
You can find me any and everywhere at Homeboy.
All right, and that's it. I'm just, I don't have anything else. So I'm just, honestly, I was just feeling, just excited and emotional and grateful and all these emotions with number 200 in the books. This is so bizarre. So,
all right, buddy. Don't get to crying on stream. Come on, we're at the end. Good grief.
Gonna lose it. Go ahead. Take us away, Adrian.
Sure thing. I mean, you already said everything that I was going to say anyway. So without further ado, we will see you next time, next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. And as always, we are the Super Gamer Boys.
And we'll catch you on the flippity flop.
Woo, 200. Yeah, now we got to figure out something to do.
#JJ sucks.
Forever.